from WABYZ Chicago. It's This Imperium Life, distributed by Matt Martins and Hunter Donaldson. I'm Ira Glass, and the theme of today's show is...
The deal is non-binding. We didn't resolve the transaction in the right timing window for it to even be binding. Do you understand that?
Music by Ben Prunty, featuring Matt Martins and Hunter Donaldson. I'm Hakan. I'm at 8 points. I have 2 trade goods, and we just revealed centralized galactic trade. Needless to say, the table decided I was the main threat, even though all they had to do was just not trade with me. Imperial and trade were gone. Muwat took Diplo, so I take leadership, with very little hope since I only have unscorable status phase secret objectives. Muwat Diplo's his home system. He gets to 9 with an action phase secret, and already has a tech stage 1 public objective in the bag. All he has to do is make sure I don't win before him. By the end of the round, the last sabotage had been played. The fleet defending my home had been destroyed twice, and all I had left to defend it was 5 PDS-2s and 2 or 3 ground forces per planet. Muwat brings a War Sun, 2 destroyers, and a carrier with as many fighters and ground forces as possible. So I use Graviton laser systems as my last hope to protect my home system. Somehow, I score 5 hits, but Muwat plays maneuvering jets. Hey Muwat, if you give me 4 trade goods, I won't play direct hit on your War Sun. No, that'll just let you get 10 trade goods with your racial tech. Yeah. But this way, you'll have a War Sun to take my home. I tell you what, instead of that, I'll sell you my direct hit for 4 trade goods. He thinks for a moment. Sure. We traded, and I said, you should have taken my first offer. I play my other direct hit. On my next turn, I use production biomes to get the 10 trade goods, and I give the 2 extra to Muwat as a final farewell kiss.
I just want to note for everybody, it did not in the script. It did not say.
It did not say farewell kiss.
Final farewell kiss. That's what we added.
We added that.
Yeah, and I think it's a very good addition. Also, kind of a crazy story. We're in the same room. What?
Hey!
Hey!
Right now, I'm talking in my microphone, and right now I'm talking in your microphone. Isn't that fun? We can just do this. Hunter's in Arkansas this week. That's fun.
Yeah.
And this is episode 101. Matt has I've broken my my curse.
It's over. That arc of the
number,
show.
The bad numbers.
There was
is
the
gone.
numbered arc.
If you look through the list, all previous This Imperium Lives don't have a number because I decided they shouldn't, and I don't know why.
And
now it's episode 101.
It's been rectified.
This Imperium Life 5. Hi, welcome to my favorite thing that we do.
Welcome to the second season of Space Cats Beast Turtles, where it really gets serious. No, that was a submission by Sorcerer.
It was,
and it was very good. I liked it a lot. Because it's Maine. It's one of those really good Maine ones. Rules-wise, that checks out, right?
Oh, yeah.
If someone pays you when they're paying you...
That's the thing that he said is initially his deal was I won't play a direct hit.
You're right.
And the person said no.
Right,
and he goes,
right.
okay, I'll sell you the direct hit.
Right.
And then the person said yes. And then it became a non-binding deal or whatever.
Yes. So if they had taken the first deal, it would have been bound that they could not play either direct hit.
Right. I won't play a direct hit.
Yeah. An instance of that card cannot be played.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's kind of a weird one to start with because it is a story where this unnamed Muwat player really just goofed up pretty big.
Just
like really because shouldn't have even been making deals at all.
Right.
I'm not, as far as the story is concerned, it sounds like Hakan had no path.
Yeah.
Now that might not have been completely obvious to the Muwat, to be generous to
them.
and
you know what's funny is Sorcerer in here had a little parenthetical that said that the conversation over the deal was actually lasted quite a bit longer, and he initially was asking for more trade goods. So it's one of those sort of like you ask for too much, and then when you come back to what you want,
now it seems fine.
Now it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that at play that maybe maybe that's what he got away with.
Yeah, that's fun. I think at this point in this Imperium Lives, I think There are a lot of themes that we've seen kind of repeated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of types of stories we've seen many, many times. The type of story that I feel like never gets old, though, is I over the table did something that won me the game,
Right.
or that made this possible.
Yeah,
basically.
and usually also like meta betrayal, like very intense meta betrayal is very, very
and
good.
it's because it's not anytime the story is essentially a what are they called, Rube Goldberg machine of just like the game pooped out this output because it's got so much weird variance to it. That's a little those are fun, especially if the output is crazy, like literally insane. And that happens. We've all played a game of Twilight Imperium where it was like, why did the game make
nuts.
this possible? And it just does, because it's a beautiful game. Have we talked about how it's a pretty good game?
We haven't done our official review yet. I think that's episode 200.
Episode 200 will be a review of Twilight Imperium First Edition.
What do we think?
We'll do First Edition.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll do our episode 200, 300, 400, and 500.
Is already figured out right there.
Editions.
Yeah, and then hopefully by episode 600, we'll be on the 5th edition of Twilight Imperium.
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 NPRium.
Yes.
That's what this Imperium was.
Yes.
I get it. We got another one. Should we go into it?
Yes, let's do it.
I think we should.
I think we should do more of the show. Yes.
We should do more of the show that we set up. Let's do T.G. Welch's story.
Last night's final round was one of the best I've seen, and certainly not surprising with the group that we had. We had Magi playing as Sardak, Mantis playing as Nalu, Janor playing as Isarl, Zendog playing as Jolnar, and 9 of Spades playing as Sol. I myself was playing as Hakan. This is T.G. Welch. Going into round 5, I was sitting at the back of the pack on 5 points. Sardak, to my left, had sold me the speaker token in the prior round in return for many trade goods, so he could comfortably score any spend-related stage 2 that might come up. I agreed, knowing an Imperial swing round was my only shot to win. Fast forward to the agenda phase. Sardak elected to put Seed of an Empire on the top of the deck, with Isarl at 7 points as the leader and Sol at 4. The option was clearly going against because the stage 2 was spend 6 tokens, which the goblins had a lock on. All the riders came out, including my tech rider to get fleet logistics, and then Isarl hit us with his Imperial rider on the against, guaranteeing him a point unless someone saboed. We knew one had been burnt earlier in the game. Isarl showed us that he had 2 left in his hand, and I had just drawn the last one in the status phase, but chose not to play it by staying quiet. Isarl moves up to 8 points, and we head into the strategy phase. I was first to pick, so immediately I snagged the Imperial card. Sardak played Public Disgrace, which I figured he was setting me up for by giving me the speaker token to begin with, so I immediately played my Sabotage to keep the 8. The table was a bit irritated that I didn't use it on the Imperial rider, but convinced them it was my only path to blocking Sardak from winning in the action phase. So I would need the rest of the table to do what they could about Isarl. Sardak takes leadership. Nalu takes tech, Isarl Diplo, Jolnar politics, and Soul warfare. The only card Isarl was afraid of was unexpected action. His first turn was to Diplo his home, and he forgot to use Magion implant on me with his fleet logistics, knowing that I had the unexpected action. My turn came, and then the shenanigans ensued. I parked unexpected action in Jolnar's hand, and also took a mix of other cards from other players and exchanged some with Soul. Root was streaming the game and had GM rights, so he could see everybody's hand, and he still could not even figure out where I put the unexpected action. After tons of ploys against the goblins, Soul activated the system outside of his home and plays flank speed. He gets saboed, then plays in the silence of space. No sabo, as he's banking it for the unexpected action. In comes a carrier with 4 infantry and 2 fighters. I got the unexpected action back from Jolnar and used it on Isarl's home, baiting out the final sabotage, which he used. Eventually, Nalu forces a combat with Soul in the system outside Isarl's home. Soul plays skilled retreat, no more sabotages. He skilled retreats into Isarl's shipless homeworld and then warfares the Diplo token to take his home planet. Once that was accomplished, I took Mechatol Rex and scored Imperial plus 6 tokens to go from 5 to 8. Status phase, no one could hit 10 before I scored. I scored 2 tech and 2 colors and formed a spy network as my secret objective to go to 10. Victory as a result of a pure gamble by saving that Sabo for public disgrace and relying on a table of pros to come up with a plan to throw the goblins off the throne. Special thanks to 9 of Spades for putting in the work to make it happen. Ooh, what a sassy end.
You know
I
what
feel
it
like
is.
I got recruited to be a sass
be a burn.
master against...
The whole thing there is, I mean, that the reverse of that is like the story of 9 of Spades semis win as
Sure.
Muwat,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Is like stop everybody and then Muwat comes out on top. This
Right.
is like the opposite of like
Of
TG
like,
being
well,
like, all right, 9 of Spades, you can do it.
I have
So can I.
I have no specific way to stop everyone, but let's see if they all make it happen for me.
Yeah, and that's the most fun part about seeing these games with like all the really really good players or playing in them is that's the crazy stuff that really starts to go on is like they start to read between the lines and they know what each other are looking for and what to do, and it becomes a whole different board game. At
Yeah,
that point.
I mean, what a combination of like that was essentially we have gotten so many submissions that are like just one piece of that story.
Right.
You know, the fact that that is a story that has a skilled retreat shenanigan into a Diploid home system that then warfare. I mean,
Right.
It's so funny because after the first segment we were like, well, you know, the Rube Goldberg machine stuff is because this is kind of that. It's just everyone at this table had the wisdom to see all of those possibilities. Basically,
I love the saved sabotage thing.
Yeah.
I think we've all been in that game where you're holding onto the sabotage and everyone's like, we have to guys, we have to sabo this, and you're the one person with it and you're like, do we though?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and also it's an interesting story because a lot of times in that situation you are like I would have been so if I had been in that game with TG Welch and been like, so you could have stopped this one player from winning the game and then you just didn't out of a Hail Mary pass for yourself. And even in the story, he admits he did
really
not
have
make
a
it
shot.
happen.
Yeah.
Like he did not make his own victory happen, but he just knew like, listen, if I kind of like if I kind of stay in the herd here, this pack is going to get me all the way there. And that's really crazy.
Well, that is sort of that added benefit of playing with all really good players is it's not a known variable if the person with the locked-in win actually has it locked in. Like, when everyone's really good, you might all be able to make something happen. So then it's that weird dance of who's going to help and who isn't helping. In this game, I probably wouldn't have thought it in the game, but it's certainly one of those situations where if you're really paying attention, you probably could have seen that TG Welch was making a play. Like,
for
the
sure.
person who isn't helping
I wonder
has something up their sleeve. Always they have something up their sleeve if they're not helping
I
stop
wonder
the leader.
if they were having any king-making conversations. Because
Right.
if I had been in this game, I'd have been like, all right, so we're really going to all cooperate as a table to make, you know, TG Welch the victor. But, I mean, I guess he did have...
He came from behind.
Form a spy network, which is... I mean, so often at the end of the game... anyone could have form a spy. You know what I mean? So often by the end of the game, like everybody's got a lot of action cards. Now you do kind of start to see, especially in a situation like they're describing, if somebody's like not willing to go below 5, that's a good indicator. Because like if people are spending a lot of cards, I don't know. What I love about this story is that one of the most recurring Twilight Imperium or this Imperium Life segments that we've received is the Isarl is in the late game, and they've got all these action cards, and they play them all, and it's crazy, and then they win the game. And it sounds like I may be throwing shade at those people. It's just that I think we probably had at least 2 stories featured early on that were kind of that variety, and then we just kind of learned like, oh yeah, that's something that happens frequently in
That's
games.
how Isarl wins.
Yeah, that's how
when
Isarl
wins.
Yeah.
It's that way.
And it's fun. Like
Right.
I'm not trying to take anything away from it. But what I really like of this story, it is the opposite.
Yeah,
It is
exactly.
literally Isarl didn't quite manage the action cards well enough,
Yeah.
and then the entire table just threw
Right.
all their
We
cards
juiced
down
them.
in the right order to make an improbable loss for Isarl.
Yeah.
Ooh, I had a weird bubble in my throat. Had a weird bubble. This is fun being in the same room again, by the way.
It is fun.
Let's we got another one. Let's
do another one.
Let's check out another one.
Let's kick it over to Okie Professor's story. The young Jolnaran research assistant made her way into the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council. Given the situation that her entire race was in, one might have assumed that she would have prolonged her trip as long as possible. After all, this was very likely the last time a Jolnaran would ever attend the Galactic Council. With a dominating force on Mechatol Rex and a clear path to obtaining the blessings of the Winaran custodians, there was a time when the universities were the most feared force in the galaxy. But fear can be a powerful uniting force. Within the last year, utter catastrophe had rained down on the Jolnar. The barony of Letnev, aided with the force of 2 war suns, had annihilated both their home system planets and their presence on Mechatol Rex, while the Federation of Sol had hunted down what had remained of their fleet. Not a single military unit remained. All that stood between the once great universities and elimination was a single defenseless planet, a planet that the research assistant happened to call home, Lazar. So it would have come as no surprise had this young representative delayed her taking her position within the hall of the Galactic Council. Yet she was a true Jolnaran scientist, even if the universities had burned before she was able to complete her education, and she would not allow such things as emotions to prevent her from seeing the proceedings through as rationally and efficiently as possible. And, true, she had been sent with the intention of a last attempt at victory. A pointless attempt, really. She had run the simulations, and the percentage of any outcome other than total annihilation was microscopically small. Hope was irrational, and yet there was no reason not to at least try, especially considering that she served as the speaker, the final cruel irony in this tragedy of her people. "This meeting of the Galactic Council will now come to order," she declared. "The first agenda for our consideration is representative government." The other empires quickly decided that, with the barony's new expansive frontier, passing the law made the most sense. But then, one of the large robotic apes, apparently some abomination thought up by some yin brother crazier than usual, happened to notice the young research assistant shuffling through her documents. "The voices say that there is only one thing that you could possibly be searching for, little fish. It is useless. No one here will be complicit in your Imperial rider. Best you not even submit it for consideration." Shame flooded through the research assistant. The monstrous ape had seen right through her, and what was worse, he was right. There was no reason to submit the rider now. The microscopic chance of success would sink to 0 if she did. So she simply abstained from the proceedings, beginning to pack away her things. She barely even noticed when a Winaran page brought her the next and final agenda. And it was even longer before she realized what it was she held in her hands. Turning to the unholy abomination of an ape, she replied, "Thank you for your counsel, friend. Had I not heeded it, I very well may have submitted the rider you so rightfully guessed was in my possession. For that kindness, I will see to it that your people are treated well in our new empire." Facing the council, Imperial rider in hand, the research assistant read aloud the agenda's title, "Seed of an Empire." To pass the law would be to secure the Jolnar, the final missing piece in their quest for domination, which is why the young Jolnaran attached her rider to the against vote. Perhaps hope was not entirely irrational after all. It always works. All you have to do is that. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is like be an English professor.
Yeah.
And submit a story.
I want to say something. Actually, they're called the Hylar.
Yeah.
They are.
They are called the Hylar. You're dead right. You're dead right. When he's right, folks.
I'm right. Hey, I just got a lore thing.
He's an English professor, not a Jolnar professor.
Right,
all right.
So
back
off.
A professor
of the Jolnar.
Jolnar.
Yeah. Of Joel.
Of the Hylar.
Of Joel and Nar.
He's not a Hylarian professor.
Yeah. Yes. But very good story. This is an interesting one because we've definitely gotten like crazy Imperial Rider stories before. Mm-hmm. But, it's like there's 2 ways of getting them into the show. There's like you had a crazy thing happen, and then there's I'm just gonna write you some good prose.
Yeah.
because we like that good.
That's
prose.
all it takes.
We
That's
like
really
that good prose.
for me. I'm guaranteeing one of those kinds of stories gets into every single This
No, for
Imperium
sure,
Life.
for sure.
So if you've got the best one of the
bunch. Yeah.
bam, doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's even much of a play of the
Oh,
week.
and the frickin' the savages
Yeah.
mention.
Oh.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
I love it. I love it. I also do just love this story from a just the chance of it and that final backstab. The like the ability to look at someone and say, you brought this
You
on
just
yourself.
talked
You
me
talked
out
me
of-
out of a thing. You talked me out of a mistake I could have made, and instead you're gonna pay for it. That's the best. That's a juicy win.
Yeah. It is really solid. I wonder though, to get a little bit of just some old-fashioned Space Cat Space Turtle theory crafting type stuff in there. How do you feel overall about situations where writers are basically automatic and guaranteed?
Oh, they're terrible feeling.
Yeah. Unless you're getting them right, and then it feels
Yours.
great.
It's great. No, I distinctly remember that one time you and I were playing a game and I was yin, and it wasn't a writer situation. No, it was a writer situation, but it was a single vote writer. It was the first agenda, or like only one agenda was out there. There's only one thing to elect, or whatever it was.
Right.
And I had Imperial Writer, and it's like you only have one thing to vote for,
Yeah.
and it's
there
my
was
Imperial
absolutely
Writer.
No
There's
way.
literally nothing else that can be done about it, and that happened to me. Inversely, it happened against me in a recent game. It is a horrible feeling of just like, oh, I don't get to even try to avoid this. There's no diplomacy that can talk me out
I'm
of
trying
it.
to think of that situation you could be referring to. I think it's when there's only one secret objective available.
There's
and
multiples.
that-
It's a vote to re-vote on an agenda or something.
Sure,
and there's
if
only
there's
one
only
agenda
one
in play,
agenda available,
or the agenda to get a secret objective to become a public, and there's only one secret objective in play. Both
that
those,
one, that situation, that last one though, I feel like I've seen that one multiple times.
Really?
Yeah, it
I don't
feels
see it that often.
statistically more likely.
I see the agenda thing. The agenda on
re-electing
an agenda. Yeah, that one hurts.
Honestly, when you think about it, they both seem pretty likely because it's basically just like it's just a timing thing.
Right.
Did it come out?
Did it come out early?
Yeah. If it came out early, if everybody has neural, statistically, the odds of somebody having Imperial Writer might be pretty high. I mean,
Right.
that's 6 hands
Right.
of like what? If it's round 3,
Yeah.
6 hands with like what? 6 cards at least, bare minimum.
Right.
You know,
It's not bad.
If not, 7 cards and they've cycled
Maybe
through
8.
a few. Well, well, if it's a Sarl, yeah, yes. But also, what I mean by 8 is how many cards have they seen?
Yes, no,
you know what I mean?
agreed.
Nobody looks at an Imperial Rider early game and is like, "Well, I'm going to throw this out. Obviously,
Yeah.
this is useless."
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? So it's 100% you're going to keep it.
Yep.
Card.
Yeah, you're
So,
waiting for the right moment.
You
for
know,
it.
you could have seen 10 cards by round.
And
3.
the Imperial Rider against any of the point givers is cool. Seed of Empire obviously being the biggest deal.
yeah.
Because to do an Imperial Rider on like a Shard of the Throne or Crown of Amphidia elect player situation is like, well, that actually doesn't help you very much.
No,
but
and it's more of a block,
a mutiny or a Seed of an Empire for or against VP vote is like, bam, Imperial Rider just became the best card in the game by a long shot.
Yeah. That's fun. More. This is from somebody named Schroeder.
Who's that?
Not really sure who that is, but I call this one Magi Learns a Lesson and Schroeder Cries. This was my 6th game of TI4 and my first game as Hakan. It was a 5-player game with a Warp Zone, with Magi as Sar and a Jolnar in the game. Early on, Magi was able to bully me a bit. Well, it doesn't sound like Magi at all. That's crazy. Magi was able to bully me a bit because I had bought the Jolnar research agreement too much. Oh, that doesn't sound like Schroeder at all. When he was trading too much, that's weird. Because I had bought the Jolnar research agreement too much, I got 4 tech round 1. How did he even do that? What? That's the story I want to hear. Anyways, I got 4 tech round 1, 2 from tech primary, 2 from Jolnar. Jeez, okay. But he was able to talk me into being okay with him taking more of my planets in exchange for Rog's call. After all, I could just use it to push him back off. However, a good opportunity to use Rog's call never came till the last round. Conquer the Weak came out, and Sar was able to use his Mechatol fleet to take the Jolnar home system. He then had a massive fleet and around 15 ground forces on Jol, with maybe 1 on Nar. The table had lost hope, but I saw a unique opportunity. My entire fleet was on the other side of the map. but I had Warfare, Lost Star Charts, and 2 flank speeds. I was able to bring my entire fleet into the Jolnar home system. All I had to do was win the space combat, and Rog's Call would take care of the rest. True, I would have to hope nobody would kick me off, but I was willing to accept that risk, giving my 98% chance to win the space combat. And as they say, though, 2% is 2%. I lost. And even though he won, this game made Magi swear to never give out Rog's Call ever again. What a fun one.
I love, and as they say, 2% is 2%.
As
Who's
they say,
and why do they say it so often?
You know that old chestnut, 2% is 2%, you know?
2% milk is 2%.
I was just about to say that. It's like an old milk phrase, you know?
Got milk, 2% is 2%. When
Yeah,
you're whole, you're whole.
That was that was the next slogan after Got Milk. And it was way less popular. It was like people just with weird milky mustaches saying 2% is 2%, you know? You know what it is.
From the Carrot Man himself.
Yeah, 2% is 2%. God, what a fun one! I think obviously enhanced by if you have a lot of knowledge of Schroeder and Magi.
Of both these players and them
right.
playing right into their own stereotypes.
Yeah, God, you could not pick a story with 2 players that have more easily identified like traits, like the fact that Schroeder, just the used car salesman of Twilight Imperium,
and Magi, the robot bully.
yeah, the robo bully,
the calculator bully. He's a mean nerd.
He's like if a calculator could punch you. But yeah, no, really fun. A lot of good flavor. Got a lot of good flavor to that one.
Yeah.
It's a tasty. That's kind of that one kind of medium.
Well, it's my other favorite kind of this Imperium Life submission, which is this could have been a great play if it had done it. It has all of the things of a great play, and then the rug was pulled.
It's
right
almost
out
an
from under me.
anti-submission.
Yeah.
It's like this could have been really cool. I actually kind of wish we got more with this flavor of like I saw my path to this awesome victory, and then it didn't work. It just didn't happen. It wasn't great. I mean, we've seen a lot of really unlikely stuff happen before, like percentage-wise. I think 2% might be the worst I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard of 2% winning be 98%.
I don't know.
Like
I know I had a recent battle that was like just the most ridiculous chances to win, and it didn't work. It may have not been 98, but I don't know. It's.
I remember you telling me about one that was it was definitely less than 10%.
Yeah,
and then
it
the
hurts.
other side won. Yeah,
Rog's Call. That's an interesting. It's an interesting little nugget of one of those things that looks like it's going to be harmless, and people talk about it as like, oh, but you could use it in really creative ways. But at the end of the day, there could just be one situation where it is your game crusher. It ruins your life. So is it worth giving out, even for weird super game? It's another one of those ones that you give it the moment they would use it.
Yeah.
You do it right now, and you hope they use it right now.
Right.
Because otherwise it's going to burn you.
Yeah. And longtime listeners of the show know our whole thing is to be really like, oh, this promissory note? I don't know about it. I don't know. That's like our whole angle. Yeah. That's like our politics, basically. But I don't know. I will say that I think overall we've warmed up to most all of the racial promissory notes. This one though, still kind of a holdout. This one still
never has a spot. I had a recent game with war funding baronies. Note that,
where you
cost me the game.
You messed up. Well, how did that happen?
I messed up the math, and they had a really clever timing. I mean, it helped that they had a whole. They traded it to someone I didn't know had it.
Oh,
but even still, when you need 2 trade goods as the Barony of Letnev, and somebody has your war funding.
Oh yeah, it was
like
you needed the trade goods for an objective.
The win.
Yeah.
And they
such a bummer.
cost me 2 trade goods.
That's such a bummer.
So it's like, is it worth giving out if it can just completely cost you the game?
Right.
I don't think it's worth giving out.
Well, I'll say this: I think war funding, you got to give it out in the moment that it's needed.
You use it when
that's
the
mistake that you made.
Yeah,
was
for
that
sure,
one.
for sure.
But I mean, even that, I don't know that you can make that a binding deal, right? I don't know that.
No, you can't. You can't. So you're giving it to them in the moment, and then you hope you're giving it to them in a moment where they definitely want to use it,
right?
And then hope they do in fact.
Right. That's one that you don't want flying around really at all.
No,
I think. I mean, I maybe feel similar about Rog's Call to like a lesser extent.
Yeah.
I will say though, like Schroeder, if you watch the, this is a fun time to plug the YouTube stuff. If you want to check out the Gen Con finals that I'm sure a lot of you have seen, but those of you that haven't checked it out, if you want to watch a little Schroeder playing around with Rog's Call, that was definitely a thread of the tournament.
I wonder if this story was before or after
That. Maybe. I don't know.
Because he played against Magi in the finals.
Right,
and was
he
throwing
did.
around
He
Rog's
did.
Call.
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder.
another thing.
I wonder if this is a reaction to Schroeder saw Magi goof it up and then was like, "No, this is how you use Rog's Call," or if
Right.
it was vice versa. If it was.
Right.
He was all swindly with Rog's Call, and Magi was like, "I can do it too." And it's like, "No, Magi, you're not a used car salesman.
Right.
You don't get to get away with that."
Right. Yeah, I will say this. I mean, if you just want to check these two players out, you can check out our Gen Con tournament footage.
Yep.
All
Our
6
Patreon
hours
tournament.
of it. The Patreon finals, you can see these two players play. They're fun. They're kind of like rock paper scissors type players, where it's just like they have their thing and they do it so well.
Oh, that's a great idea to get a 3-player game with 3 of the top personalities that don't gel at all,
Right,
even a
right,
little bit. I don't know what
right.
the third one would be, but it's definitely a Schroeder, Magi, and
Schroeder,
X.
Magi, and whoever that third person is. Yeah, send in your suggestions.
Maybe
basically.
7.
7 just for the chaos
For the
of it.
chaos
Like,
of
who
it.
knows
Just
what's
he's
gonna
going to completely...
Oh.
7 or Janor would be the third.
Right.
One of those two
Yeah.
is the third bubble.
I agree with that completely. Oh, that's gotta be something. Yeah. Let's do you want more?
Do you want more show?
You hungry?
We had a 5-player game with Mentak, Sardak, Nalu, Necro, and me as Arborek. It was the first agenda of the second agenda phase. Necro was the speaker, and the voting order was Mentak, Nalu, Arborek, and Sardak. The revealed agenda was Minister of Sciences. The Mentak player gave 2 trade goods and 1 trade agreement to the Sardak player to vote for him. He wanted to achieve a tech objective within the next round. The Sardak player accepted. Only all votes of the Mentak player and the Sardak player would be enough to win against the possible coalition of Nalu and Arborek. Therefore, the Mentak player voted all votes for himself. Next up was the Nalu player. So I got into a conversation with the Nalu and convinced him to give the Sardak player enough votes so that he must make the choice whether to pick the Minister of Sciences for himself. He also had not achieved the tech objective, or to stay true to his word to the Mentak player. We only gave him enough votes that he would have enough to spend all of his votes, and the Nalu player and me would be the only players to vote on the second agenda. So, Nalu voted for some votes for Sardak, and I did the same. Now, it was the Sardak player's turn to vote. He thought long about the decision, but in the end, he decided to vote with all of his votes for himself to take the Minister of Science. The Mentak player was very, very upset. The second agenda was not very important and was decided by only the Nalu player and myself. In the next action phase, the Nalu player's first action was to play Repeal Law against the Minister of Sciences to remove them from the Sardak player before he could even use Minister of Sciences to score his tech objective. So dirty. This is the dirty.
This is the
Imperium
dirty
Life.
episode. Yeah, this is the stabby stab episode. Jesus.
Yeah, I love this because of all the layers. Just so
Yeah.
many layers.
I love the idea of someone playing Twilight Imperium being like, all right, if I can ruin this relationship between these two players, like
If I could take these 2 friends and make them sworn enemies, that'd be
that
great.
would be good for me because they won't be cooperating anymore. Like, there's somebody out there that plays Twilight Imperium like that.
Yeah, think about the number of relationships that were ruined here.
Yeah.
Mentak and Sardak.
Yes.
Because Sardak betrayed Mentak.
Right.
Nalu and Sardak.
Yep.
Because
Nalu
Nalu voted for Sardak and then betrayed Sardak by stealing the thing. The
Basically-
only person that came out of this without a meta problem is the Arborek,
Right.
the player who submitted this story.
Right.
Is
It's
the only one who's
the
like, no one's
narrator."
mad at me. And they orchestrated
He's
the whole
literally
thing.
just planting seeds in people's minds. I wonder if he knew about the Nalu player having Repeal Law.
I don't know.
That would make
That
it
feels
so
too
much
good. I know.
juicier.
Right. That's
Like,
insane.
If they knew that, then they're literally like playing 3-dimensional
Machiavelli,
chess.
like literally Machiavelli read.
They're literally, in like Star Trek when they're playing that chess game, that dumb chess game. It's a real chess game actually, but it's just chess where you can go up and down.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's dumb. But it looks cool in the show. Also, did you know what's your favorite episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Do we have to do this right now?
Oh, come on, why can't we? It's this Imperium Life, It's like a fun.
But do you
it's
know
a
what
story
my answer
episode.
is?
What?
Don't you know what my answer is?
No, what is it?
I, Matt Martins, have never watched an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm sorry. Now, how many subscribers did we just lose, Hunter? Because you did that. Because you made me say that. We have 500 less people that listen to this show.
Well, I just want to go ahead and say, just
Get
to
'em back.
remind myself, when we get to the rundown, I just want to say that this week I would appreciate a 5-star rating us as the best Star Trek the next generation Star Trek podcast of all time.
You need to bring our listeners back and please tell me what is the best Next Generation episode.
Oh, there's so many. It
You didn't even have an answer. You asked the question.
I do have
okay,
one.
okay.
I forget what it's called, but it's the one where Patrick Stewart gets he goes to like another planet inside this thing, and he lives like a whole life there, and it has like a telescope is involved. I really like Star Trek, but I don't remember a lot of specifics.
There was a moment in you telling this story that was just the story was Patrick Stewart goes to another planet, and I'm like, that's what Star Trek: The Next Generation is.
Well, no, Patrick Stewart doesn't go to many other planets. Patrick Stewart stays behind on the ship. See, that's how you just prove that you're not much of a Star Trek fan.
I don't know
Patrick Stewart almost never leaves the ship. It's the Riker and the away team go. There's an episode where Riker is like going crazy and he's in a play. That one is really good. It's like he's acting in a play, but also he thinks he might be in like a mental institution, which is not a plot that has particularly aged well. But
I've been watching a lot of The West Wing, courtesy of Billy. And I wish that those kind of plots happened in the West Wing. I would love a modern day politics where also sometimes people go to other dimensions.
What I want to do is record this episode while we are walking briskly from office to office, yelling at each other. That's what I want to do. Is I want to Sorkin this show at some point. And I'm just like, Matt, edit the episode now. Get out of here. We need that edited by last Tuesday. Do we have more? We should say more probably about this story, but we got on some tangents there.
We got really out in the weeds.
We did. We're bad. We're so sorry. Very good story though.
Yeah, thank you, Space. That was from your space lawyer. I didn't even say that. Your space lawyer. Thank you so much for that segue and for that story.
Yeah, and just how mean it was. It was.
I love mean players.
Yeah,
as a mean player. I love to feel it.
I'm not a mean player, but I would get angry.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I think people misunderstand the difference.
When I play with people that are all nice, I feel like a total jerk because I'm a mean player.
Right.
But I still find there's validity to the mean plays, and they're clearly fun.
Well, let's be real. Twilight Imperium makes mean players of us all. It's just some people do it like a politician,
right.
and some people some people stab you from the back, some people stab you from the front.
Right.
You're
some
a
people
front
pretend.
stabber.
Yeah, I'm a
you
front stabber.
you like to see him and look him in the eyes, and be like, I'm stabbing you right now, and you know why
Say
I'm doing
my
that?
name.
It's because. It's because I want to win, okay? I'm going to ruin your life right now because I want to win. Right. I want you to look me in the eyes while you do it. I pretend I'm your friend.
Right.
And you don't even realize
for you. I'm doing
that
you a favor.
I've slipped some poison into your drink. Hey, do you want a Dr. Pepper? Here's your Dr. Pepper, buddy. I love you. This submission is from Mantis, and it's called The Trojan Horse. Actually, one more time. This one is from Mantis, and it's called The Trojan Horsey. The Necro player is sitting at 6 points with 2 secret objectives in hand. They also have exactly 10 trade goods with the 10 trade good secret objective in play. There's a player at 7 points who is in the lead. Necro activates one of that player's systems and plays a flank speed. This is an obvious attempt at spark a rebellion, so we argue about who is going to sabotage the flank speed. At least one player is implied to have one, but nobody plays it. I reveal all my action cards to show the table. I can't help in case someone is holding out, waiting for someone else to play theirs instead. Still, no sabotage. Necro easily scores Spark a Rebellion, going to 7 points. At this point, they also have 5 action cards in their hand, which is the fear for their second secret, since anything else would be easy for the table to block. That leaves Spy as the only solid chance to stop them. Since nobody is indicating that they have Spy, I have to assume it was still in the deck. So I, playing as Mintak, have to come up with a different plan. Since we actually did argue over the sabotage, I decide to put on my best acting voice possible, my theater voice, and pretend to get really salty about someone holding on to their sabotage and how it was basically just giving Necro the game. And if that's how we were going to play, I might as well just give Necro my support for the throne to guarantee we end the game this round to punish the player holding their sabotage. I asked if he really wanted it. After claiming he didn't really need it anyways, confirming the 5 action card secret for me, he somewhat reluctantly accepted it. probably out of fear for the spy card that nobody ended up having. Since I didn't clue in anyone else on my plan, I waited for the table to get mad at me, and then the second he accepted the support for the throne transaction, I pillaged his trade goods, taking them down to 9, and since they didn't have another stage 1 to score, I blocked the win for that round at least. We also got the IFF out to connect me to the other player at 7 to ensure they couldn't get 10 trade goods easily either. What a cold,
That is
nasty, what a crazy.
I love that. That's up there. That's like top 5
Yes.
plays of the week.
Yes,
ever.
for sure.
Because
For
it's
sure.
because it completely exists outside of the game.
Yes.
It's multiple things here. It's predicting a secret objective.
Yeah.
It's pulling out the kind of information you need to figure out that you have the correct assumption about what their secret objective is. He makes this whole play of, I'm gonna make them say, I definitely have my secret objective on lockdown. Like, without saying it, saying that.
Right.
And that's the only thing they could have, and that's what you need to know it.
Some poker face.
It's some
stuff.
poker
Like,
face
it's
stuff.
so crazy.
And then the final nail in the coffin of completely Hollywooding for the entire table. No one at any point someone could have seen this if he had done it any other way. But to make it a big, ugly thing, a big, messy, just angry, vile thing, people stop to think that you're playing with any sense. And so that's what Mantis is, like one of the most sensible players I've ever seen.
Very solid.
All he does is just know what the play needs to be coming up.
He's a tight player.
He's tight. And so for him to be like flying off the handle, it's probably just completely shocking.
I've never seen him do that.
Right.
I've never heard him
so
ever talk like that.
if anything, that should be the clue to all the other players. It's like, Mantis flying off the handle.
Right.
I call
Well, I mean,
foul.
that's another meta aspect.
Right.
If you played with Mantis, maybe who knows how often these players have played with Mantis.
Sure.
So I mean, it's just so wild to me because like pillaging someone at a critical moment, that's the kind of thing that like I don't know. I mean, like if he hadn't. What's so amazing about the play is that without this Hollywooding, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
He would not have been able to just be like, hey, I, for no particular reason, want to give you a support for the throne.
Right. It's
And
an absolute misplay on
It would have
that
been
guy's
like,
part.
whoa, what? Wait, what?
Let's look into this.
Yeah.
Let's
Why
investigate.
is he trying to give me a support for the throne? Oh, obviously pillage. Okay.
Right.
He's trying to pillage me.
Right.
Whatever.
But to make it a whole theatrical moment,
A whole production.
a whole 10-minute thing. I
You
don't know
throw
how long it
people
took.
off. You get people thinking weird. They're confused because you're being emotional. So now they're getting a little emotional in reaction to it. Oh my God.
I love it.
Mwah, mwah,
So many chef's
mwah.
kisses.
A lot of chef's kisses. I think it's because we're in the same.
We're in the same room and we just
wanna,
wanna kiss. We just wanna kiss so bad.
Nom, 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 nom. This is weird.
This just
we
got
miss
different.
each other.
We
I don't
miss
know if you
each
guys
other.
can tell that. We just miss being in the same room recording this show. It's so much
I love
fun.
that at the end of this, there's like a whole other like sentence that's like an entirely different story that he
Yeah,
didn't
that's true.
tell.
Yeah, he
Oh
did.
yeah, and by the
He was
way, I
like-
put the Krios IFF out there to connect me to other players so that they also couldn't do the 10 trade goods. Where's that story? You
Right.
forgot to.
Right,
oh my
right.
gosh.
Yeah, no, but what a great solid nugget. One of definitely one of the best plays plays we've ever been sent. Basically,
sure.
period. Imperium Life or Play of the Week or whatever. Just so solid. So I mean, I'll throw this gauntlet out there. Is like if anybody got more stuff like that,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
please.
Well, that's where we're getting with this game, right? It's been out over 2 years now.
Oh my God, is it really that old?
People understand so much more about the game at this point that the meta plays get to be that much more involved.
Right.
That's exactly what we were talking about at the beginning. Is like we're kind of past the point of I rolled 100 dice and I got 6 nines,
Right,
and
right.
then
The
all
strictly
the
mechanical
strictly
stuff.
mechanical stuff isn't what really like gets us jazzed anymore. It's these crazy like how did you know or think to think that way or
it's
see
lateral
it that
thinking.
way.
It's being like, I'm playing the game. How am I going? Like and that's the thing that I admire the most about any player is because we've all been at that point where you're in the last round. You know it's probably the last round regardless of what goes down, and then it's just like, oh, how do I find my path? And there's a lot of times where it just feels like, oh, it's just hopeless. There's no way to do it.
Right.
And Mantis is here actually figuring out the
Right.
puzzle,
Never
like
give up.
solving it in a way.
Yeah.
You really should never give up. I think there's like if that's one of the main takeaways I think from just deepening your understanding of Twilight Imperium is like a lot of times it feels like you're down and out. There's always something you could do.
There's so many situations that can. I think that was the biggest thing we learned from the Patreon tournament, and being in a game master position where we finally get to see all the pieces at work at once. Is when you only ever play the game from your own perspective, you only ever see, well, it looks like I'm out.
Yeah.
And then you accept that. But when you watch all 6 players at once, you go, oh, he's not out at all. Look at all the different weird openings that could come up. Look at all the crazy things that could happen. And who knows what order they'll happen in.
Dude, even from a perspective of us watching the game and having secret information, we would call it wrong.
Yeah.
All the time.
Oh, we were dead wrong about the Gen Con finals. We didn't have the secret information, but like even in the Gen Con finals, we were dead wrong about our assumptions.
We didn't see the path. Yeah. Like, and I think there is a certain aspect of it that like if you are on the outside of a game, it's like you know, it's hard to necessarily pick up on because everybody's got secrets. Basically, everybody, the whole table's got secrets, and you don't even know your own stuff. You know what I mean? And when you're playing a game, one out of 6 is information that you know because it's your information.
You know what this is exactly like? This is the reason we love this game, and this is the reason we love the other game that we love.
Oh, Dune.
No. Oh. Well, yeah, we do love Dune, and Dune shares that. But the other game that you and I have obsessed over is One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Oh, right.
And One Night Ultimate Werewolf is a micro version of that same
It's all
conflict.
about Hollywood.
Who knows
That's all
where
you
you're
do.
going to end up? You don't know what you've got,
right?
So you just play with whatever you can and see if you win on the other side. See where you end up and see if it can work out. You just play whatever play you can make.
Yeah, bluffing.
Right.
So much fun. And the fact that Twilight Imperium is a strategy game with a deeply mechanical, but also has room for bluffing. That's so amazing.
That's amazing.
That's What a great game.
So if you love Star Trek The Next Generation, please rate us on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating and let us know it's your favorite
Tell us
TNG.
your favorite episode. I'm sorry I don't remember any of the names of any of the episodes. There's the one where Patrick Stewart's on that planet and then he learns like a language. Like he has to like make up a language with this guy. Or he learns the guy's language and it's called like Darmok or something like that. And he says stuff like that. That's another one where Patrick
Just go
Stewart
ahead and
is
give us a
interesting.
5-star rating and tell us what the names of those episodes are called.
Yeah,
just
if you could tell us
make
the-
that the
there's the
comment.
one-
And don't explain it at all. Just say the episode is called and tell it that, and then give us a 5-star rating. That would be
Especially
great.
that Riker one, because that's not a very good one, really. Well, it is good, but the one where Riker's like thinks he's in a mental institution, but he's also like doing a play, and it's really hammy. It's so hammy. Like dude. What's so great about that show is that Patrick Stewart is probably one of the greatest actors alive.
He's in this goofy show.
And that's the thing, is that it's not even just that the show is goofy, because he doesn't make the show goofy. When it's his turn to talk, it's not a goofy show. But he is surrounded by a cast of some of the hammiest actors I've ever seen in my life. Like Brent Spiner is literally playing a robot, and Michael Dorn, there's all so hammy and goofy. And honestly, not to insult them, but they're beneath him. You know what I mean? Like he is like a
He's Patrick
god
Stewart.
of acting.
He's knighted.
And he's
a knight.
He's having to act with these bozos, and they're all wearing space pajamas.
So Brent Spiner, feel free to tweet at us at SpaceCatsPod.
No, dude, that's the main problem with Star Trek these days is they need to get the bozos back, and they need to make the show a little more. I don't know, just quit trying to be so cool. It's not supposed to be a cool show. It's supposed to be a show about ideas and teaching you like how to be a good person. It's about ethics, and there's supposed to be a boring bald man that drinks Earl Grey tea at the center of it. And it's mostly, you know what? Here's the thing too. Patrick Stewart, great actor. You could give him any emotion and he's going to just nail it. And they give him like no emotions to nail. Like they essentially give him nothing to do. It's like, Patrick, for this scene, could you be really, really stoic and like maybe there's something bothering you, but don't talk about it.
But
in
that's
the
what
scene.
I was in the last scene.
Yes. Literally,
Do
could
that
you just
again,
give us
please.
that?
Well, all right, if you ask for it, then I will.
And then it's like all the other actors is like, oh, in this scene, you're crying and you're sad. And they're like, okay, cool. It's my big moment. Wah! Wah, wah. It's so good. And I know it sounds like I'm down talking it. I am not. I wouldn't have it any other way. I would not have it any other way.
All right, you can find us on Facebook too and subreddit.
And
That was enough rundown for me.
Yeah, that
We're
was
good.
fine. There's also, there's the tweeter. Please check out our Patreon
Yeah.
and all of the, the things that you can check out there. It's great, and we love you guys, and thanks for making this show what it is.
Yeah,
and
thanks for these kind of episodes. This Imperium Life's are great. Oh, hey, a little plug for next week. It's going to be Galactic Council. So the poll's coming out soon. So get in there. Make sure you check the Patreon so you can get your vote out for next week's episode. We don't know what it's going to be. It's a mystery.
Ooh. Oh man, I'm kind of bummed that next week I won't be here. We'll be back to
Record it.
Ooh, yeah. I wonder if we
Can
could.
we record it over the weekend?
We're going to a wedding, so I think that would probably be rude.
Inappropriate.
If we were like, "Excuse me,
Sorry, Claire.
if we just like set up the microphones and everything in the middle of the wedding, you could just hear like people dancing in the background and having a great time. And we're like, could you guys shush? We're talking about commodities and trade goods today. We're talking about the various value of all the plastic components of Twilight Imperium by Fantasy Flight
You
Games.
say that, and there's a very real chance that next week's episode is 2
It's gonna be a
resources
lie.
equals 3 influence. It's going to be the drollest episode we've ever had.
Right. It's gonna be, and it'll be a live episode, live from Claire's wedding. It's Space Cats Peace Turtles.
Can you leave?
You could just softly hear people saying "I do" in the background.
Come on, Eileen. I know what I mean in this moment.
All right, we go. Sorry, we need a dance break real quick. We're gonna go dance real quick. We'll be back.
Thank you for listening to Space Cats Peace Turtles, and thanks to Ben Prunty for the use of his music. You can find more at benpruntymusic.com and benprunty.bandcamp.com. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.
Hold audience while Matt looks up the thing. Bum, 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 dip, boo, 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 dip, beep, ba, da, ba, 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 ba. It's Hunter's blooper song. Ba, ba. It's Hunter's blooper song. Ba, da, ba, da, ba. You should, oh man, you got to check out our new Patreon only episodes called Between the Record, where you just hear me and Matt saying the stupid stuff we say when we know it's not going to be in the episode. Oh, check it out.
I shouldn't have even brought this up.
You shouldn't have brought it up. Well, now you got to rewind, brother. Oh, this would be so good as a teaser at the end of the, like after the episode.
Then we
after
read
Pax
run
Magnifica.
more. It's like one of those like 15 minutes of silence and then one more story.
Oh, dude, we got to do that in one. We have to have like a bedtime.
What's
Twilight,
that called? A secret track.
A
The
secret
track on the
yeah,
album.
A secret track.
That's an old Homestar Runner joke too. There's a Homestar Runner song on the Strong Bad CD, and then Homestar Runner is like, "Secret song, you're the secretest song on the album. Secret song." All right.